this. That when a person extracts the dye from the chilazon, the dam from the chilazon, he wants to make sure that the chilazon is alive until the mamish, as he's taking it out, it should still be alive. He tries to be teirech and muchas to get it out like that because the quality and the clearness of the dye is affected by those seconds. And we said that if it's the murex, the metzias is that until 2 hours, up to 2 hours after the murex dies, the dye still stays the same quality, just as clear, and there's nothing less in it. It's like anything else that spoils eventually. But there's no something that's chal in the dye as soon as it dies. Now, on that same Gemara, there's also l'chayr from the other side. You see also a shtickle raya. The metzias is when you take the murex and you take the snail out of the shell, crack the shell and you just leave it in the water like that, it will live for about 7 days. And even after that, when it does, if it will die because of an infection. It's not protected. Also, if you cut off that gland, that hypobronchial gland, which is where the dye is located, it will also live up to about 2 hours after you cut it off, and also then it won't die necessarily because like you cut off its head and it's going to die. It's a gland and it can't live because it's going to get infected over there and it will die. And you look in the Gemara says that the reason why Chazal said that a person is not chayiv misa because of natilas neshama, the Gemara Kashi should be chayiv misa on a melacha d'oraisa because he was noitel the neshama. The Gemara says no, because he lahedya has kavana that it shouldn't die as he's taking out the dam. As he's taking out the dam, in other words, it's almost like according to Rashi, it's a secretion. Not stam leichpesleit. He doesn't want it to die. He purposely wants it to stay alive so that he can get it out and get the dam in a better quality. Now, the metzias that we're saying now is that even if you cut off the gland and you get your thing, it's still going to be living for hours later. So there's no way that the Gemara would tell you that you have to be careful that keep it alive is going to be alive for hours later. And for the fact that the Gemara says, and Rashi brings down the Furish, Rashi's lashon is that as you take it off, it's going to die in your hand. Rashi's lashon is shedam achai toiv midam ameis v'kevan the kol atzmai miskaven v'toyreach shlo yomuz biyadai. As he's taking it out, he's being careful and toyreach so that it shouldn't die as it's still in his hands. So even if it so happens to be that it does die, Einayela Misasik is only Misasik, it's not Miskaven Pashas, and it's not, it's mutter, according to Rav Shimon. Clearly from Rashi and all the Rishonim, when they bring down this sugya, they say that when you're going to take out the dam, it's immediately going to die, and therefore there's techniques and ways that he has to sit in there and figure out a way to take it out so that it shouldn't die. Now, if it's the murex, you can cut out the whole gland. Not only take out the dam that's in it, take out the whole gland, cut it all off, and it will still be living for hours later. It won't be natilas neshama until later on. Besides that, the fact that you see from the metzias that it can last for hours after you cut it off and take out the dam, that in itself seems to be mavur that it wouldn't be the murex. Because the Gemara asks, why does the Brisa only say that you're chayiv tzeda? If you trap it, you're chayiv for tzeda. You should be chayiv for natilas neshama. If it's going to die hours later, if a person cuts off part of an animal and it's slowly going to die, and after a few hours it dies, and the death actually happened after Shabbos, is a person going to be mechuyev for chilul Shabbos, or he's not going to be mechuyev for natilas neshama? Hasvara says that he's not going to be over. Just like the halacha is that if a person puts a pot on an oven, and it doesn't cook, he just puts it a minute before Shabbos is over, and it only gets to Michael Ben Drusay, or Shir of cooking, it only gets there after Shabbos. It's not chayiv for bishul. The malach of bishul is for getting it cooked, not for just putting it onto the flame. Again, there are malachas that are not like that. There are chidushim in malachas, moshe by zereh. If you plant the seed, even though it won't be nishrash, it won't get root until few days later, the Kolapachas 3 days later, and that will happen after Shabbos, but yet Torah Aser, the Maisa Zri itself. But Kipshute, most malachas are the Maisa itself, and if a person goes ahead and he kills an animal but doesn't actually die until after Shabbos, Pashtus, he won't be chayiv. The malacha is for the harigis, for the killing it. And so therefore, it could be that maybe that's why, if it's the muriks, why necessarily would the Gemara ask that you should be chayiv for the natilas neshama when you take out the blood? If it's going to last for many hours later, there's a good chance it'll happen after Shabbos. This kasha I saw in a sefer ben Techeles Largamon from Rabbi Yisrael Taparovitz. But there's one thing I just want to end off with, and that is that Tosfos asks another kasha. Tosfos says, why didn't the Gemara ask another kasha? The Gemara says, when the Gemara asks the kasha, when you take out the dam, you're killing it. Forget about when you take out the dam, you're killing it. As soon as you take the chilazin out of the water, it should be the halacha like taking a fish out of water. Just like when you take a fish out of water. The halacha is you're chayiv for natilas neshama when it comes to a certain point that it becomes dry. Frekt Tosfos, the same Gemara. Gemara should have asked the kasha over here. When I take the chilazin out of the water, forget about taking the dam out of it to kill it. I'm over for killing it as soon as I take it out of the water. And for Tosfos, hacha by the chilazin, shema chilazin darkoi lefarches ulekarev misasai. Tosfos says that perhaps because the chilazin thrashes around and it shakes so violently when you take it out of water, like much more than a normal fish, it jumps around. So therefore, it's almost like it's killing itself. You took it out of the water, but the actual misa is caused by itself. Tosfos, the next Tosfos later on, doesn't even bring in the shema. The first Tosfos says shema. Maybe that happens. That's not what Tosfos means, that maybe it happens. The next Tosfos says mefurish, v'hocha nami b'mesha misasai yesh tikun ktsas she'ena mefarches. From now on, after he kills it, it's not going to jump around anymore. It's going to be easier to take out the dam. It's clear that Tosfos holds that it's pashut, that a chilazin is mefarches, it jumps around. He says shema, that's mekarev misasai. Maybe that will be mekarev misasai. Now, if it's the muriks, you can take it out of the water and leave it there for hours. It won't make a move. Forget about thrashing so violently and shaking like that. And for the fact that Tosfos says that the chilazin does shake around, shtikul mashma, pretty clear mashma that it's not the muriks.